already. Really looking forward to see how this one pans out, because you have RevzCards, as you said, with the Tri-Brigade branded. Such a fast, quick, in-your-face kind of deck versus the slow, methodical plays of Lithium and his Dogmatika.
And so basically from what we saw during this weekend, Lithium deck is based on basically getting rid of resources from his opponent extra deck with the white relic, with the white knight of Dogmatika, and I really like also that he takes his time to take control of the game, putting up a lot of monsters on the field and also getting easy access to Dogmatika punishment.
And talk to me a little bit about how Revs in particular will deal with the control aspects of this deck when a Dogmatika punishment comes through at an inopportune moment for him. How does the Tri-Brigade deck set up and deal with it accordingly?
So basically, I really like RevzCards deck because not only you have access to Tri-Brigade monsters and league plays, but also I think by having on the deck access to the Mirror Jade, which we saw this weekend how powerful the card is, the Mirror Jade might cause a lot of troubles to Lithium, but also if RevzCards manages somehow to put on the field the Tri-Brigade Revolt, then he will be able to special summon the Omen and get rid of another card. Now he goes for the Fractal, he will activate his effect, banish his True, and this is basically standard stuff we have seen from RevzCards. Usually you really want to go for some Blink Summons before setting up your field, and I think he could either way for the Ancient Warrior's Oath, which is very powerful because basically gets you access and bounce back one of your opponent card. Or if he really feels like it, he might be considering, if he has some branded engine in his hand, to going for the Mirror Jade. We will soon find out. We can tell that RevzCards is considering it, but looks like he made up his hand.
And tell me a bit about the rationale behind this decision here for RevzCards. What is his goal for the end of the turn for that setup on the field? How does this Tri-Brigade deck flourish, considering the amount of removal that is innately inside this Dogmatika build?
So basically now he went for the Bear Ram and brings back the kid from the graveyard.
Yeah. Where does this lead?
We can tell that he's thinking about it. I think playing against a deck such as Lithium's ones, it's like obliges you in a sense to play a little bit different, because you're not playing against a deck that relies on the extra deck, for example, but basically really focuses on having resources on the field and playing with what you have. We can tell indeed that RevzCards is really thinking deeply about it, and now he's going for another Link Summon for the Anaconda.
Okay, and this is the branded fusion play that you mentioned before. Very intrigued to see where this one does lead.
I like this. Let's see if maybe Lithium has any sort of interruption, but looks like it does not. And RevzCards will be able now to bring on the field the Mirror Jade Iceblade Dragon once again.
And now with Mirror Jade the Iceblade Dragon just sitting there in defense mode, we are seeing a defensive lineup come through from RevzCards. That first turn, of course, being all important to this Tri-Brigade and its setup. How will Lithium respond? Ash Blossom Joy Spring is one such response, and I'm judging by the look on your face, it comes at a puzzling time.
So this Ash Blossom really hurts so much, and I think Lithium activated it at the right spot. I have to say that he really considered his option, and I think this was very well played by Lithium in this situation. Still, he really needs to get and take care of the Mirror Jade on the field. Let's find out what Lithium can do.
Thinking through his options here, of course, with the Dogmatika deck. Does he open with Dogmatika Ecclesia the Virtuous yet again? Or are we finally seeing Lithium on the back foot for what feels like the first time in a very long time.
And Lithium start things off with Sangan, and once again we saw how powerful Sangan is. If this Sangan will go through, Lithium will be able to go for the Almirage.
Yep. And after the Salamangre Almirage, where does that then lead?
I might be actually afraid exactly that the Mirror Jet here needs to be activated on the Sangan, because otherwise, if you let your opponent go for it, it will basically be able to search for a monster from this deck.
And we've previously seen Lithium go for the Max C, but perhaps we see something else.
Yeah, and indeed here RevzCards activates the Mirror Jade, which I think is the correct play. Basically get rid of the Sangan, and also Lithium really needs to start things off with something on the field. Ooh, but there's, I think, one of the best cards, but there's the Ash Blossom. Wow. Last cards in RevzCards hand was the Ash Blossom, and indeed you can tell the Lithium is not happy with that, because Nadir Senman was really what he was looking for, honestly. That might have been devastating, but he also has the Dogmatika collision. There comes the Infinite Impermanence.
Yeah, RevzCards just having answer after answer here. Lithium, the Dogmatika control is getting controlled right now. Very, very difficult prospect for him to deal with here. How does Lithium recover Alberta?
So here it's true that RevzCards is left with the Mirror Jade, but Mirror Jade itself alone creates a lot of trouble. Lithium unfortunately was stopped by both Ash Blossom and Infinite Impermanence. He's going to have troubles now. He's considering what his next move might be. He sets one, and play is back to RevzCards, which is now able to special summon one Tri-Brigade monsters of Fallen of Albas in the end phase. Let's see what he decides to do. Okay, he searches for the Tri-Brigade kit.
And where does RevzCards go from here, do you think?
First of all, I'm not a fan of summoning the Mirror Jet in the extra monster zone, because basically now if you really want to summon the Tri-Brigade monster, for example, you will not be able to link summon because your extra monster zone is locked. So you might have considered to summon the Mirror Jet in a different zone, for example.
Yeah, the main monster zones, of course, being currently empty.
Exactly, because as we can see, he added the Tri-Brigade kit previously, but he cannot go for a link summon because the Mirror Jet is actually occupying the zone. He entered the battle phase, but as we know, the Dogmatika collision cannot be destroyed. Now Lithium really needs to find something out of his deck. Still, the Mirror Jet is on the field. It's not going to be easy for Lithium to find his way, and indeed the Dogmatika collision goes to defense mode, sets one, and passes to RevzCards.
Mirror Jade, the Ice Blade Dragon, of course, very, very high on the utility front, just super, super good at removing anything problematic from the field.
He sets the Brandy Sword, which I think is also very useful in this situation, because he might be able to put a token of 2500 attack, and this is the case. Let's see if Lithium answers. I think this is something that we have never seen, honestly.
And what could Lithium answer with?
Yeah, exactly. I think this is something that we have never seen, basically. RevzCards is going to attack and enter battle phase to seal this game one. Will this be enough for Lithium? Has any other answer to this?
2 face down spell trap cards. What are they? We won't find out quite yet, but maybe we do.
He might be holding a Dogmatika punishment.
Okay, yeah, that would be good. Now would be the time to play it.
Yeah, exactly. He's considering his options. Let's see. He has the Dogmatika punishment. Indeed. He's actually considering what to send from his extra deck to the graveyard. It's not to be an easy decision from Lithium because he really needs to survive this turn, because otherwise this game 1 will soon be over. Okay, he sends the Elder Entity and TSS.
Ultimately, though, you have to imagine this is just Lithium buying himself one more turn.
Yeah, exactly. He's buying himself one more turn. You can tell that Lithium is doing some calculation here. Of course, I think he's obliged to get rid of the Mirror Jade in this situation. Still, he will survive one more turn for Lithium. Let's see if we will find out something out of his deck. Still, RevzCards in the battle phase will deal some damage to his opponent. And I think the Branded Sword here really made the difference, because this is something that really never happens, honestly. You really get to use this effect from the graveyard when you banish it the card and add the monster, add the Fallen of Albus monster to your hand. But in this case, it was very useful. Lithium.
Now, tell me how Lithium would get his way back into this, perhaps starting with that Diviner of the Herald.
So, this Diviner of the Herald,
where do you go from here as Lithium?
I'm thinking basically, actually, maybe RevzCards, because he had 2 tokens and the Mirror Jade. He could have waited. I think I would not have summoned the Fallen of Albus, because he could have summoned into Memphis to shoot the Tri-Brigade kit and try to play a little bit in order to set up his field with the Tri-Brigade Revolt instead, so that he would have an answer now to Lithium's field. He decided to go for the Fallen of Albus and maybe hoping that that would be enough. Now, plays back to Lithium with the Diviner of the Herald. We know, usually what we saw is the Diviner of the Herald sending the Herald of the Arclight to the graveyard, but now instead Lithium is obliged to sell the Elder Entity and TSS to get rid of the token, and indeed there's nothing else going on, unfortunately, for Lithium, which is only left with the Diviner of the Herald. But we already know the RevzCards has the Tri-Brigade kit. Let's see if we'll find his way.
Really curious to see where this goes from here. RevzCards was in complete control of the first couple of turns of this duel, but suddenly the onus has flipped back to Lithium here. Diviner of the Herald, as you mentioned, very, very potent, can start off something good, but is it good enough to deal with what is now happening for RevzCards?
That's correct. Here now RevzCards goes for the Tri-Brigade kit's effect. Let's see if Lithium has an infinite impermanence. He is left with 2200 life points. Let's see if this Tri-Brigade kit goes through.
And if it does go through, what is the ideal situation here?
He might be also entering battle phase, honestly.
Okay.
And
okay,
goes
into
Salamangreat
Almirage.
And
where does Almirage take us, is the question.
So basically here he might be going for another Link Summon. Now we saw the Cold by the Grave being activated on Tri-Brigade's case effect once it goes to the graveyard for the Salamangreat Almirage Link Summon. And I think here RevzCards, yeah, he can enter battle phase, attacks, and let's see if this will be enough.
There is still one face down spell or trap card on the side of Lithium.
No, let's see if Lithium has anything.
A miracle happen.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. RevzCards taking a convincing lead with a Game 1 victory in our first semi-final.
We have to say that he started things off with an incredible hand. There was the Ash Blossom from him, and also the Infinite Impermanence strategy gone completely Lithium strategy.
Yeah, and this was kind of our concern for Lithium in particular, was that when he's not in a favorable matchup where he has the requisite time to set up, especially when he's going second, the Dogmatika deck doesn't have the opportunity to come online. It doesn't have the opportunity to set up that control. And moving forward, how does Lithium guarantee that there is a third game in this match?
Well, Lithium this time is hoping that ESpot will not be stopped by Infinity Permanent Rush Blossom. And he really needs something. But, okay, RevzCards is starting things off first. We saw the Lithium deck is good also at going second. If he goes first, what he usually went for was the White Knight of Dogmatika, getting some advantage with it. Looks like once again RevzCards is going for his Tri-Brigade monsters. And
where do these Tri-Brigade monsters lead this time around though? Do you just rinse and repeat what happened in game 1?
I think once again he might be going for the Bear Brum, and later on, if he really gets the chance to add the Tri-Brigade Revolt, which he didn't in the first game, that might be very powerful.
Tri-Brigade Shuraig, the Omnis Omen, conspicuously absent from RevzCards' winning field for what feels like the first time this tournament. That card hasn't been a deciding factor in this Tri-Brigade deck sealing victory. But the field currently very much filled with Tri-Brigade cards.
Exactly, and this was basically the missing piece that RevzCards was needing. Here goes with a Link Summon. And he goes for the Appaloosa.
Okay, very nice. Appaloosa, but Goddess, of course, now coming through to hopefully set up some negates to shut down any attempt at a setup from Lithium.
He never actually summoned the Appaloosa so far from what we saw. And the ideal start for the Tri-Brigade is going for Appaloosa, Ancient Warrior Oath, and also having the follow-up play with the Tri-Brigade Revolt. It's very hard.
Weirdly enough, I think this is actually the first time this tournament that we've seen Appaloosa with more than 2 materials.
Yeah.
So a couple more options, or literally just one more option, available to RevzCards than there would otherwise be.
And also I think we might be seeing for the first time the combo I was talking to you guys about. If you're able basically to put up on the field the Appaloosa alongside with the Ancient Warrior Oath, and also having the Tri-Brigade Revolt to get the Omen during your opponent's turn.
So, with the exception of the Tri-Brigade Revolt, which is hopefully coming in the next couple of duels for RevzCards, what is the end goal for you at the end of this turn 1 in terms of your field setup? Does it just look like this, or do you continue to Link Summon again?
So RevzCards here is continuing to summon, which surprised me because on one hand he might have kept the Ancient Warrior's Oath. I think, honestly, seeing at how he's playing, in my opinion, he had drew the Tri-Brigade Revolt. Because like usually, what you're really looking for is to having the Tri-Brigade Revolt on the line, and I'm pretty sure that he might have outdrawn the Tri-Brigade Revolt. So in my opinion, the set card is the Tri-Brigade Revolt.
And now this is a very intimidating field for Lithium to deal with. Can you give me some insight on how Lithium with the Dogmatika, with that slow burn ramp up playstyle, how does he immediately deal with these issues that have now presented themselves to him?
This is very difficult because basically we can see the Lithium is starting things off with the Diviner of the Herald, but RevzCards can negate it with the Appaloosa if he really wants to. There's also the Mirror Jade, but indeed, the Appaloosa negates the Diviner of the Herald, which is, I think, the play to go for. And we saw that Lithium deck is very powerful, but it really needs this monster's effect to go through while activating them. This is not the case because the Diviner of the Herald gets negated by Appaloosa. Let's see if Lithium can find a way. Now he's going for a Link Summon. Maybe we will soon see an Mirage. Exactly.
Yeah, you really had to do that because you had Diviner of the Herald with no effect.
Yeah.
Essentially just a 500 attack point monster waiting to be attacked. The Link plays continue, however.
Yeah, here Lithium really needs to find something, just to take some time because now he goes for the Victor's Ecclesia. Now RevzCards is considering his options.
See, the scary thing here is that if you do use the Appaloosa's effect to negate the Ecclesia, you then only have 800 attack points left and can be easily taken out by either the Ecclesia herself or the Link monster that Lithium had just summoned. Yeah.
The Appaloosa negates the Dogmatika Ecclesia, and I think honestly that makes sense. Of course, you can now go over the Appaloosa by entering the battle phase, but you really need to activate the Appaloosa as a negate effect. And indeed, Lithium goes battle phase. And I think if Lithium has, for example, a couple of set cards, RevzCards might be getting rid of one of them with the Mirror Jade, and then if there's a Tri-Brigade Revolt, and I really think that that would be the case, because otherwise he would have activated the Infinite Impermanence if he had one on the Ecclesia. I am pretty sure that RevzCards is holding on into the Tri-Brigade Revolt. Let's see if he has it. And
it is.
Does he have it?
Either that or Called by the Grave.
Goes for the Mirror Jade.
And yeah, if you don't see him activating Tri-Brigade Revolt here, you have to imagine... Never mind, it is Tri-Brigade Revolt. Yeah, you do.
I was sure about that.
You believe?
Basically, yeah. Because like usually what you really go for in this situation, I mean, I get that you go for the Anaconda for the Mirror Jet, but like your usual line of play is going for searching the Tri-Brigade Revolt.
And is this instantly into Tri-Brigade Shurag the Ominous Omen?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
And where do you go from there? What's next?
So basically you go for the Omen. Now Lithium will not be happy with this for sure, because now he gets all the effect, and it will trigger all the Tri-Brigade monsters that have now been sent to the graveyard for the follow-up play. Looks like Lithium doesn't have any interruptions, and Tri-Brigade gets resolved, sends the Fractal, Nerval resolves. He will add most likely the Keras. Okay, he adds the Kid. And then the Omen resolves, banishing the cross-out designator. And in the end phase, the Albion will activate his effect. Unfortunately for the Lithium, there was not enough. We have to say that RevzCards started things off incredibly well with the Appaloosa and the Mirror Jade.
You are speaking like this game has already been decided, so can you tell me how it plays out from here and how RevzCards will seal the deal?
So basically now with the kit, he will be able to link summon. You can just activate it. If we go through, exactly, he will be able to bring another body on the field. He goes for the Omen, enters battle phase, and this is it.
Lithium tried his best, but ultimately the Dogmatika control deck was unable to come online soon enough to stop RevzCards as he continues in his momentum all the way to the grand finals.
Very well played by RevzCards, we have to admit it. Lithium tried to survive and stayed in the game. RevzCards had the perfect hand in game 2. We have to give credit to Lithium for bringing this Dogmatika deck, but we will again see him in the 3rd place. Let's give it to head.
At over there by the usual space. We know how this works. Come along, you're now into the final. It's all very exciting, but before then you've got to get through one of these interviews once again. So, we're now finalists. First ever Master Duel Invitational. How does that feel?
I'm just happy I got this far. You know, like I said, I was saying to you earlier, as long as I win this match, I'm happy. Going in the final, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
We will, because you're either against Umi or you're against Spiral. Now, how do you feel against either of those?
Worst case scenario for me. I don't know either of those decks too well, so we'll see what happens. We'll see.
We will, because we've seen in some of those previous plays a seriously heavy field combo that comes out from both sides, or it's going to lock you out of everything that you want to do. But you have quite a lot of cards to deal with, things like we saw during a couple of these games, which we'll go through in a second in my handy notes that I've made. But you see that there's a lot of ways that you can deal with things. So do you expect that you might be able to deal with some of those cards, or are you going to have to sort of see what happens in the moment?
I think, like that game as well, right there, for example, it was very in the moment. Kind of pressure got to me a little bit. Didn't know what I was doing. Branded sword for 2 tokens, very weird. I think going forward, it'll be similar, but like I said, we'll see. We'll see. I have no idea.
We will see. So speaking of see, let's see how that game went. Because game 1, obviously, you went first both times. So
yeah,
I think your opponent's greatest enemy wasn't necessarily you. It was the coin toss every time.
You would think so, but not actually.
No?
I lost the coin toss that second game. And
they
Lithium
chose you to go
go
first.
Second.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. We don't get to see the coin toss a lot of time. We just have to see who goes first on the screen. So you obviously went into Mirror Jade, built that very strong feel. There was the Dogmatika punishment, which prevented you from attacking for game, but you managed to get around that, and you still managed to swing in. So game 1, you take that. There were a couple of moments you played around. Were you feeling confident?
No, because I ruined it for myself by summoning Mirror Jade in the extra monster zone. So I had no Tri-Brigade plays. So, yeah, that just got turned into a weird game.
Well, second game you didn't have that problem because obviously you went into Ominous Omen and things, and it all ended up going pretty well. You had Appaloosa as well. You slowed up some of Lithium's combos with those negates.
Yep.
And then just took over that field into the end. So that was... you have to keep your calm in a lot of those moments and play.
I'm feeling the pressure. It's coming. It's coming. We'll see.
We'll see. Well, congratulations. You are the first finalist that's qualified for this, and that is super exciting. We will be seeing you in a couple of duels time. You get a little bit of a rest, though, because obviously we've got to see who third place is going to be, as well as the next semi-final. But congratulations again, RevzCards representing the UK. So that means we've got to go into our next semi-final match. Let's take a quick look at that table so you guys can see the standings of where we are right now. Obviously, we've seen our current victor there, but we're going to be interested to see exactly who wins between the Umi deck and the Spiral deck. Which one will RevzCards be going up against? We're about to find out very, very soon. So, without any more delay, let's go over to our next feature match.